Hello, welcome to video. Anyway, um, yeah, so I was having a discussion about infant baptism with a gentleman by the name Biff. And I get this right here on one of my videos. You still getting cooked by Biffs, or did you admit defeat? Now you keep coming, didn't even realize you were losing. Anyway, you're welcome for your view. Glad to get you number 6. I don't know what that means, number 6, but so if a person decides to add their own word into the Greek lexicon, okay, their own definition into here, does that mean that that person won the debate? If I just go and add my own definition of this, my own theology into the definition of oikia, for example, the Greek word, which means house, household dwelling. If I add my own word into that, did that mean that I won the debate? If I am asked by my person I'm talking to think through these verses, okay, and I refuse to look into the inspired text of Scripture and think it through, does that mean that I won the debate? If I ask the person, name a group of people over here, somebody, fallible, non-inspired sources, who believe in this view, in the first couple hundred years, and the person named Tertullian, for example, and pointed out, well, he believed that you should wait until they recognize they're a sinner before they get baptized, because it has to do with recognition of sin. Does that mean that I won the debate? Do you see where I'm going with this? So, for example, I asked this gentleman to think through this verse. A devout man, does that look like infant to you? Now, the definition of infant, let's go over here. Look at the definition of infant. Let's see here. That's not a very good definition. It used to be, it might be what I'm looking for. Okay, it used to be, the definition was too young to be capable of speech. That used to be the definition. I am not finding all of a sudden. It's interesting how things change. But let's just go with too young to be capable of speech, okay? So, it's interesting how things change. Let's see here. Let me get to that. Okay. So, a devout man. So, how can an infant be devout something that they're too young to be aware of? How is that possible? Okay. Do you see where I'm going with this? This person that supposedly won the debate refused to think this through. The devout man and one who feared God. Does that sound like somebody who's a baby fear God? How can a baby fear God? With all his household, okay? So the whole household feared God and devout. Did that sound like there's an infant in that household to you? And gave many alms to the Jewish people. Oh, can you see an infant? Baby who's too young to be capable of speech, giving alms to the Jewish people and praying to God continually before they even pray. They don't even know their own native language yet. When you were an infant, did you remember doing that? And this guy won the debate. According to this gentleman right here. It goes to show the sad state that Christianity is in. So what causes this sort of thing? How is a person, given what I just shared with you, conclude this guy won the debate, given what I share with you? It's because Christians are not familiar with hermeneutics to obtain the author's intent. Because of that, they substitute what they don't know with what they do know. What do they know? Well, if you remember when you first become a Christian, what do you go by as a benchmark of truth? You go by what do the majority believe. That's your benchmark of truth. It isn't until you develop, as you mature in your theology, in your hermeneutics, then the light bulbs start coming on and you realize, wait a minute, what the majority believe to be true, not so fast. And then you try to share with them, and good luck with that. So anyway, it's called presuppositions, and I offered this gentleman solutions. Study hermeneutics, had no interest. Just like trying to go over this with him, he had no interest even looking at the inspired scriptures and thinking it through. No interest at all. Why is that? Because he wanted to hold on to a presupposition. In the same way, just gentlemen, he's in the same boat. Yeah, it's just stunning to me how somebody's just gonna import their own theology, to take a word and throw it into the definition of Greek and have no problem with that. That is a bright red flag right there. That is not hermeneutics, folks. That is dishonest manipulation of the text, changing the text to whatever you want it to be. How are you going to obtain the author's intent? You're just going to add your own definitions into the word. Anyway, that's all I have to say. And there's a debate a few weeks ago, public debate, where a gentleman was Orthodox trying to push transubstantiation, and people think that he won the debate because he looking at the church fathers as if church fathers is some sort of source for foundation of beliefs, but they're obviously not looking to scripture here. What did Paul have to say? Right here. And are built upon the foundation of the apostle, prophet, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone. Says nothing about succession of beliefs. Says nothing about church fathers. Okay? We are to look to the inspired text, and our foundation of our beliefs is based on that. Not fallible, non-inspired sources such as church fathers. And people just assume they're just pure, impeccable, unblemished beliefs that just carried forward. What they don't know is that the original 12, I'm not talking about Paul and Barnabas, the original 12, there was no succession of beliefs to the Gentiles from the original 12. They were focused on the cities of Israel. Matthew 10:23 was considered Jews in every nation. Acts 2:5, they were busy going to the Jews. There was only one day where their succession belief went to Gentiles, and that was Acts chapter 10 for Peter. That was it. Then Peter withdrew from the Gentiles. Galatians chapter 2, verses 7 to 12. And when did that happen? You look at what Paul was saying there, the resistance from the Jews, basically. Well, you read right after Acts chapter 10, what happened with the Jews and Peter. He was getting resistance from the Jews. So it's right away. And then you continue reading on, and it mentioned about the famine. It was, Peter had to deal with that, how to Israel in the famine. And then you had the expulsion of Jews in Rome, and, so he would have not gone to Rome and all that. But anyway, so people don't even know what to go by to determine whether a person won a debate or not. Their compass, their benchmark is not this right here. And we're supposed to check what they say against Scripture. Now, this was checking Paul, an apostle, against the Scriptures. Okay? Let that sink in. Paul, who was an apostle, was being checked against Scripture. So if you have a succession of beliefs, don't you think that should be checked against Scripture too? Might want to study hermeneutics to pursue the author and intent of the Scripture to inspire texts. Wouldn't that be a good idea? I mean, this is just. But this is all online stuff, and you get just a lot of weird stuff online. So I'm trying to help this guy. Look, study hermeneutics, and had no interest in talking about that. If let's reverse this. Let's say somebody told me. Let's say I'm writing this myself. Okay, let's say or somebody wrote this to me. And they said, talk about study hermeneutics. I'd be all over. Yeah, share with me what you know about hermeneutics. I'd be all over it. Because I recognize the importance of hermeneutics years ago. And to go and import your own word into the Greek definition, that's not intellectual dishonesty. I don't know what is. I really don't know what is. Not intellectual dishonesty. If I just go and add my own word into this definition and then run with it, as if that is really part of the definition. So anyway, yeah, and then come to find out that somebody had unliked a whole bunch of my videos all at once. That's what you get for pointing out hermeneutics and pointing out, hey, don't add words to the Greek lexicon, the definitions, not being honest, and then I get a whole bunch of unlikes. So that's just the internet world we live in. So that is a sign of a person trying to suppress the truth. That's how I interpret that. And it's just a truth suppression problem. So anyway, that's all I have to say. And hope you have a great day. And I hope I want to encourage you, study hermeneutics. It's not going to kill you. It may mean you have to remove a lot what you believe in. There's so many times where I have died to self, what I believed in. I pushed the reset button so many times. And I'm so glad I did. And you come out the other end. It's okay. It's just, you go a lot further. Trust me, you do. All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, have a great day.